Hello, welcome to this episode where we discuss with you the R series from Canon, and I'm going to pick you 3 cameras that are ones to consider when picking your next camera in the time of this video. So without further ado, let's crack on. So the first camera I want to look at today then, just before we show you them, I want to show you a really good entry-level camera from Canon again, the 2000D. Now, this is not the cheapest price I've actually found, but it has one with the best pictures. I have found it for about $360, something like that, so that would be about $370, $380, depending on what day of the week it is. And this is a great little camera. This is actually a digital SLR camera. Very nice, nicely fits in your hand, which is really nice. And I just want to show you this. So it will come with a kit lens, which should be an 18-55mm, and what's nice about these cameras, you can interchange them with different lenses depending on your situation. And the reason why I'm making this video, I've been asked quite a few times recently of, you know, should I pick this camera or that camera, and there's so many cameras to pick from, so I really wanted to pick 3 cameras that will give you value. Now if you're looking for photography, obviously you can do a little bit of video with this camera, but what I'd recommend if you're looking for a first time camera away from your phone to do a bit of photography for your business or hobby, or if you just want to take random pictures, the Canon 2000D is a great place to start. And actually something very similar to this was my first camera when I was, you know, playing around with photography. Now what's really nice about this camera, you can obviously connect the little timers to them, which is really cool. You can charge your USB. I recommend it'll power to, with any cameras I talk about today, a spare battery. Now the batteries do last really well with these cameras. I massively recommend in between taking pictures just turn it off, and you'll be quite surprised how long the batteries will last. But just bear in mind that, you know, if you leave it on, it might go. Now what comes with these cameras? Usually a battery, a charger, a strap, sometimes a bag depending on what deal you've got, and always usually the kit lens unless you bought the body separate. Now do look around for good deals, and I'm going to leave you a link to all the cameras I'm talking about today, or the main 3 cameras I'm talking about today, in the description below, so go and check them out after this video. But I love this camera. It does have a viewfinder. Let's see if we can find that. So it has a viewfinder there on the top, which is really cool. So if you're old school, let's see if we can find it. There it is. You can sort of see there the viewfinder. So if you want to do it old school and take pictures through the viewfinder, you can do that, but it does have a very nice turn screen there. Not turn screen, sorry. It does have a nice screen, which is really nice. So if you're playing around with the very intuitive menu, it has all the easy to use settings on and off there. Obviously it has manual mode, automatic mode, flower mode, you know, all the different modes. Obviously you could play around with shutter speed and ISO, but as a beginner, you know, if you're a beginner starting out, I recommend just put it into auto mode and off you go. And you can make the lens go on to auto or manual depending on what's better for you. But a massive recommendation I would massively recommend is just experiment with your camera. Now if you press that little button there, I don't know if you can see my mouse icon, where that little red dot is and little camera icon, that's usually when it flips back into photo mode, so you can see what photos you're taking. There's your viewfinder. It does have a flash, and it has a nice little mount there, so you can attach a bigger flash to it. It doesn't have a mic jack, it's not really made for video, but you can take HD video with this camera. It's really nice, and there you can see there's the auto and automatic mode, and stabilization, very useful if you're running around perhaps, or doing a bit of video. But I would massively recommend this camera as a photography camera. Obviously if you've got any questions about this, put it in the comments below. But what's nice about this is easy to use. You know, it's a 24 megapixel camera, takes really nice photos, really crisp, and obviously you can change the lenses down the road. Now the next camera I would, you know, if you got a bit more money to burn, now we're going into the R series now. Now the R series is basically a fairly new range from Canon, and they brought out some new cameras. Not that long ago they brought out the R7 and the R10, which are a bit more expensive, but you know, I know that for all of us, we don't want to spend the earth on the camera, and I want to prove to you that you don't have to spend the earth to get a decent camera. Now if you want a camera that's, you know, the next level up, or something that's, you know, really going to take some brilliant pictures, I would start with the R series, and I would check out the R100. Now again, this can take HD and 4K video. It has a very nice screen, very easy to use menu. You can play around with all the settings. It still has a viewfinder, has all the nice little settings there. Now, what's interesting about this camera actually, so you can use this for video, obviously. It also has a mic jack, which is a massive boom if you're a content creator or someone who wants to use this for video. The only thing that I think personally drops this camera down for me personally is the fact that it doesn't have a flip screen. So if you're recording yourself, for example, that could be a bit difficult. But if you're recording other things or other people, then this could be a perfect camera for you. And in fact, you've got a mic jack, you can just, let's find it, you can attach the mic onto the jack on the top, onto the jack on the side, onto the mount on the top for a shotgun microphone, and off you go. And that will massively improve your video, because at the end of the day, half of all video is audio. So if you've got a decent microphone, you can attach to the top and off you go. That's something I would massively recommend. So that's something to bear in mind when picking your camera. Now, what I like about this, again, this is the mirrorless camera. So the big difference between this, it will be smaller than the other cameras, quite a bit smaller actually, and they're quite light as well. So sort of bear that in mind as well. And it does have an 18 to 45mm lens, and it is a 24 megapixel again. So it will take, but because it's mirrorless, and it will have a newer sensor, which basically just means it will take even better photos, even better video, and it is great for the price. Now, I've seen these for roughly about 500, which, believe it or not, is pretty cheap for a very good camera. Now, the cameras I talked about earlier, things like the R7, the R10, if you go a bit further back, things like you know, the 90D, cameras like that, they will cost way over £1,000. Now, if you've got that sort of money to burn on a camera, great. But I will, unless you're professional or really good with a camera in a nice possible way, you will not really notice a difference unless you're like, you know, a pro and you know how to make the settings like absolutely perfect and stuff. So what I love about these cameras is, like you can see, you can just hold it in your hand, you can just see how small it is. It's really small, isn't it? But what's great about this, you can just point and shoot just like you do with your phone, and it will take awesome photos. It will do all the heavy lifting for you, and this would be a fantastic first or second camera. If you're looking to buy a new photography camera going forward into 2024 or the time of this video, this could be the camera you want to check out. Now, obviously you can use this for video, and it does record fantastic video, but I personally still say it's more of a video camera in my personal opinion. But obviously, you know, you don't want to spend the earth. Now, what will come with this? It will come with a battery. Obviously, I recommend a spare battery. Obviously, get decent extreme SD card for any of these cameras. It will come with a strap. It should come with a kit lens unless you buy the body separate. And sometimes, depending on the deal, you'll get a bag. Now, just bear in mind, you can get even better deals from other suppliers, but just make sure the reviews are really good, because I don't want any of you guys getting ripped off. So just sort of, you know, keep that in mind when you're buying your camera. But this camera is really awesome, and I wouldn't mind playing around with this camera myself. At the moment, we actually use the M100 to do a lot of our thumbnails here at TVR Creators, and this is basically like the replacement for that. So this is something that I'm seriously considering in the future. Now, just before we carry on, if you're getting value from today's video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and why not buy us a coffee? Link in the description below. And I'm Dave. Hang on. Absolute value. I'm Dave from TVR Creators, and I make weekly content on the best cameras for beginners and hobbyists. If that sounds interesting to you, subscribe now. Now, if you have any questions about this, like I've said, the three main cameras I'm talking about today will be links to this in the description, so go and check them out after this video. And please, if you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer them. Now, this camera leads us to the main event. And that's going to be the Canon R50, which is basically the replacement to my favorite camera, the M50, which I won't talk about today because I talk a lot about that camera. But the Canon R50, my personal opinion, is definitely the place to start if you want to spend way over under £1,000 and you want a decent photography or video camera. I massively recommend the R50, and this is one I'm strongly recommend having a tinker with. Again, it's a mirrorless camera, which means no mirrors, has a very good sensor, interchangeable lenses, microphone jack, flip screen, and annoyingly we don't have, yeah, you can see there it does flip. And basically I'm going to see if I can find you just a better picture just to show you guys. So there you see it flips to the side, so you can see what you're doing. So if you're a content creator or filmmaker, that records yourself. This is a fantastic option to have, so you can see what you're doing. This is the big difference between this and the previous cameras. So if you're recording yourself like I do on a weekly basis, it's really good to see what you're doing, and that just makes your life so much easier when you're recording, because otherwise you'll be hoping that you've got it in the right position and all this jazz, and in a nice possible way. It's really frustrating when you can't see what you're doing. But this camera really is the camera to check out. Again, it is a 24.2 megapixels, so it's slightly better, has a really good sensor. And what's really nice about this is it has the new mount from Canon, which basically means it has a new set of lenses. Canon's going to bring out some great lenses for this camera. And again, you know, it's just really is an awesome camera to check out. It has a easy to record button, which is easy, great to go. Obviously you can play around with shutter speed and ISO. It's light, it's agile, it's very small, and there's your play button. You've still got a viewfinder, so if you're taking photos or videos, you can still use a viewfinder if you want to. I personally just use a touch screen just because it's easier. It's all down to personal preference. There's your sort of mount on top, so for your shotgun mic or bigger flash, depending on what you're doing. Has a microphone jack. I'm trying to find a picture of that for you, but it doesn't, you can just about see it there on the side there. And so there's the flash, it pops up there. So what comes with this camera then? Well, like the other ones, it comes with a strap, it will come with a battery, it will come with instructions and all this sort of thing. It should come with a kit lens, which is a really good kit lens, and I found a lot of these kit lenses to be good, especially in low light, considering you know, some older cameras I've used in the past. And this camera really is the way forward if you want to push forward with your video, your content creation in the future. This R50 really is the camera to check out. A link will be in the description, and I'll find the best deal I can for you guys. Again, if you've got any questions about this camera, please put them in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer them. And why do I recommend this camera? Well, I love the M50. For those of you that have watched my weekly content, you know how much I love that camera, and this is basically a replacement for that. So if you want to future-proof yourself, record in 4K and all that jazz, this is the camera to go for you. Now, just a few little mentions. Obviously, if you want a full-frame camera, you might want a Canon R, which is a full-frame camera. It's a bit bigger. It's obviously more expensive. You're talking about 1,000 or just under. Obviously, you can check out the Canon R7 and the R10, but they're more expensive again. But I wanted to pick these three cameras for you. So just a brief little recap. If you want a good first photography camera, the 2000D. If you want a really good photography camera and you want to push some video, the Canon R100. But if you want a camera that takes you to the next level in video, on a bit of photography on the side, and you want to push as a content creator and have all the features at your disposal, the Canon R50 really is the next camera to check out. In a moment, I'm going to leave you two end cards. I'm going to bring you even more value and help you out today. And I really hope you got value from today's video. I'll see you in the next video. Why? Because you guys rock.